Hello, little wanderers. This week, it's currently Wednesday. This week has absolutely been crazy, and every single time I meant to go pick up my camera, I just haven't. Sunday, this past weekend, I was at my grandma's for Thanksgiving because it was Thanksgiving weekend. And then Tuesday, I had practicum, which something was off, like wild with the kids. And then after practicum, I pretty much had like the busiest of afternoons. Like I had an hour-ish to do any work that I had to do. Well, what was happening with my hair there? I had an hour-ish to do any work that I had to do, which I didn't end up really doing anything. I just kind of chillaxed. And then I went to a barn event at one of the horsey stores that is like semi in the area for me. And then after that, went straight to my uncle's house for dinner with my grandma and family friends that are visiting from Germany. Stayed there until way later than planned, and then went home and basically crashed. So that was my afternoon yesterday. And then today has felt like go, go, go for all practicum. Went over my lesson plan with my AT, and then also, we figured out what lessons I'm teaching. So I'm taking over all of literacy, which we've kind of planned out what lessons I'm doing when up until I think Wednesday of my last week. It's either Wednesday or Tuesday of my last week. I don't fully remember. We have all the lessons planned out for that. And then she kind of was like, "Okay, why don't you do the science quiz and review for science next week?" So I am working on writing up a lesson plan for that, because every single lesson that I teach, I have to write up a lesson plan, but I need to have, because the first quiz take-up review is next week, Monday, so I have to have that lesson plan done by Friday. I also have my second literacy lesson plan done by Friday as well, so I pretty much have to do those two lesson plans before Friday. The one good thing is that the science lesson plan, I can just reuse that. I just have to write a different reflection after every single class, which is not that big of a deal. I can do that. That's pretty simple, but I can just write up the general lesson plan and be like, here you go, to my AT. So I don't have to write 3 different ones, because they're all going to be the exact same. The only difference is that one of them is going to have, I have to actually technically do 2, because one of them is for 7, 8, and then the rest of them are just for grade 8s, but I can just say I'm taking out this part, which is just for the grade 7s. So I have to do that tonight, and then I'm going out for dinner again with my uncle and my grandma, because she's staying in town tonight. But it's just like absolutely crazy. And then my AT is away tomorrow, so we have a substitute, so I am observing a substitute tomorrow, which is not that big of a deal, which actually, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to email my AT the lesson plan, which I meant to do earlier today. There we go. Okay, but the most annoying part is my school website is currently down. Oh, it's back up again. Thank the Lord, because they have, they have examples of the lesson plans that I can do, which is so helpful to have, because I'm like, I want to have, so I have lesson plan examples downloaded for everything but science, and it looks like here we don't even have a science one, which is great, because I don't even, oh no, there's a grade 10 biology one. Yeah, let's open that one. Okay. Well, let's download this. Did that download it? I don't even know. Oh, there we go. So I have one for math, language, and then geography, but I have the grade 7 geography just because I want to have a copy of that, just because it's for grade 7s. And then I also want to do this combined lesson plan, because I meant to do that and then I never saved it, because I want to see what the split level one looks like. So I have notes of them all, so I can work on them. But now I'm going to pull out my grade 7, 8 literacy workbooks that I got a copy of from my AT to work on that lesson plan, because I kind of have the science one slightly figured out, which is pretty much, it's pretty much done. I just need to like figure out how I'm going to combine the 7-8 one, because they both, it's quiz review, which they, I believe, get tomorrow because they have science tomorrow. But I don't know how I'm going to split it up for taking it up / when we do like the review questions, because the review questions are the exact same questions that are on their quiz, and I kind of want to do like a Kahoot it for like a game for the 7-8. I could do one where it just is like the basics, where it's like the questions that they have the exact same, and just do all those questions for the 7-8 for the one class, and then do another one for the other 2 classes. But we shall see. I also will wait on Friday to talk to my AT about it, because those kinds of things I can do over the weekend. It's just figuring out the rest of the stuff beforehand, especially the lesson plan. But yeah, that is all. I will update you guys later if I have any updates. I really just want to play Minecraft. I really don't want to do this, but I at least want to start, because the literacy lesson plan. That is my goal, to at least start it and figure out how I'm going to do this literacy lesson, and then I can do something else. Then I can play Minecraft or whatever the hell I want. But yeah, that is my update for you guys. I will talk to you guys later though. Hello, little wanderers, and happy Thursday. It really does not feel like Thursday, but it is. I am currently sitting in bed, relaxing a little bit, but also working on lesson planning for my literacy lessons that I have to do for next week. I have one lesson plan done. I say done. It's not really done. I have to still fill out the information on, I think I filled it out. I don't remember. But I want to see how tomorrow's lesson goes before I finish filling it out for Monday. I also have to finish filling out my science one, but I want to talk to my AT tomorrow to ask her a question about it, because I am slightly confused as to how I'm going to do the review, or how to take up the review with the students, like what she would recommend. Like my idea would be like to ask them what they think the answer is and go that way around, but I also kind of want to do a Kahoot. So like, would we do a Kahoot first and then take up the review, or what? Plus our homeroom class is a 7-8 split, and so I'm confused as to how I would do a 7-8 one, because they both have completely different content. Like one of them's learning about like biomes and ecosystems, whereas the other one is doing like cells and parts of a cell and those kinds of things. So I'm confused as to how I would do both of them, or combine both of them. But I do know, like for the grade 8s, because we have 2 other grade 8 classes, I can definitely do like a Kahoot for just the grade 8s, or should I separate the 2, do the Kahoot with the grade 8s, and then the grade 7s do like a booklet on their own type of thing for a review, which I still have to look at the booklets, because I'm confused as to like how you can do a booklet, but I also kind of want to create one of those as well, or like what are the options, like what she would recommend, because I kind of have an idea. Like I wrote it down, like for the 7-8s, the specific expectations, students will review and demonstrate understanding of key concept from the current science unit. And then the learning goals is I will review and clarify my understanding of the main ideas from the unit. I will identify and correct any misconceptions about key vocabulary and concepts. I will collaborate with peers to prepare for the upcoming quiz. And then I can explain key terms and concepts in my own words. I can correctly answer practice questions and justify my reasoning. I can identify which topics I still need to review before the quiz. And then it's like observation and questioning is my strategy. Anecdotal notes or checklist of students' readiness. And then it's like responsibility and collaboration, and it's like my observation, whatever. And then like for the actual lesson is we start off with a brief warm-up. So like, what do you remember, which is kind of where I think maybe we either do the Kahoot first or we actually take it up. But I'm thinking like we should take it up first and then do a Kahoot, as just like, okay, we took it up now. Let's see what you remember from it. Here are the options and let's do a Kahoot, which I think would be smarter because it's then reactivating what they just learned, if that makes sense, because we would have just gone over it. And then so it's like, start with a brief warm-up. What do you remember? Mini quiz, think, pair, share our idea, review lesson goals and success criteria, which we don't necessarily do, and then ask students to reflect on the topics they find the most challenging. And then this is also ChatGPT generated. I'm not using all of this. My AT is completely cool with me using ChatGPT to like come up with ideas and stuff. So what I did is, instead of having to scroll back through my ChatGPT, I literally hand wrote back out on my lesson plan template in red, and then I did the same thing with my language one, but what I did instead was I changed it, like I duplicated it, and then I wrote at the top ChatGPT written, my additions, and then highlighted like what I'm using. And then like I've started to go through in what I'm changing for my lesson plan, for like my literacy one that I'm doing next week. This, my science one, I have yet to do, but I'm thinking of it being like 50 to 60 minutes depending on, I want to try to get it to 40 to 60 minutes depending on the period, because some of them are like 40 minutes, so we shall see. But basically it's like facilitate a review game or station rotation, provide immediate feedback after each question / round, encourage student explanations to promote conceptual understanding. So like that's when I'm kind of thinking, okay, let's do the Kahoot. We can spend time doing a Kahoot, playing the game and whatnot, and that will be like the review game that they end up doing, and it gives them the feedback as to like the questions to see who remembers what, and it's individual, so that I feel like is better. And then it's like whole class debrief, discuss the most missed questions and clarify misconceptions, have students complete a quiz, exit ticket to define 2 concepts they feel confident about, and when they need to revisit. I don't think I would do that part, but I think like the exit part would be like, okay, what's like, remember what you need to work on, or like write it down in your science book, something you need to study for the quiz whatever day it is I think something I'll do. I don't know yet, but I'm right now working on planning out my slides for my 3rd literacy lesson, so at least I have that, so then I can go and make the slideshow for whenever I'm ready. But I kind of like this process that I'm doing now, which is kind of more work, but because I'm still learning it, I want to see it all played out, especially with like their literacy books and how I need to do it. I have them here, and they have like things they need to do, so like making inferences. I want to like figure out how I'm doing that, and I like that I can plan out my slideshow first before I actually, like, sometimes I get stuck. But yeah, that is my update. I'm doing that for a little bit, and then I feel like I'm gonna play Minecraft, but we're waiting for a friend to be done. But I have to call my balance back now, so I'm gonna go do that and then work on this. But I will update you guys if I have anything else. Hello, little wanderers. Happy Saturday. This is my update for how I'm gonna turn that off. This is my update for how my lesson went yesterday for my first ever time teaching. I was super nervous. So yesterday it had rained, so we had an indoor recess right after, during lunch recess. So my AT said that she's gonna have the kids read first for a little bit, just to like calm them down a little bit before I do my first lesson. Totally fine with that. I also like the fact that they read first before we do any work. So they read for a little bit, and then it was time for my lesson. We went over nonfiction, and basically what I did was I asked them who could tell me what the difference is between fact or fiction. Someone participated, answered the question, and then I said perfect, and I reminded them last week they did this activity where they had to go around the room based off of what like an unpopular opinion that was shown on the board. So I said we're going to do that again, but this time instead it's fact or fiction. So I'm going to share a phrase on the screen, and you're going to tell me if it is fact or if it's a fiction phrase. and they really enjoyed it. We had 4 of them, so we had 2 fact, 2 fiction, and I gave them the answer on if it's a fact or fiction thing, but it's based off of what they think it is. One of them was the capital city of Canada is Toronto, which they all knew, that's why I put it in there, is because I wanted one that they would know 100% is fiction. And then some other little fun ones, but it was a lot of fun. I then had them, there's a fill in the blank in their literacy course packs, which we work through and they work in as well. But in that course pack, they had a fill in the blank for like what nonfiction is. So I was like, okay, let's fill this out. You're going to fill it out individually, and then we're going to come together as a class and you're going to tell me what it actually is. So they tell me what it is. We do that. They require, and I checked in on them, I'm sitting in the front of the room and it's like, feels like drowning forever. But then I had them tell me what it is. They told me. We then proceeded to, whatchamacallit, we went through it all. Then we did another activity where I showed them the parts of nonfiction texts, like the different parts, like subheading, heading, all those things. But it was just an image. I didn't tell them where it was, but I had them come up on the board. One group of girls were like giggling in the back, and so I called one of them up to answer one. A few people participated, and the students felt at ease to participate. My AT, I'm pulling it up right now. She is fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better first AT, really, truly. But I have the notes that she gave me. So her feedback was that feedback regardless is great, but this I took as very positive feedback. But she wrote that got students engaged in moving, clear expectations, clear loud voice, checks in on students. I had great visuals, and students felt at ease to participate, which was like my biggest thing, is that I wanted the kids to participate and feel at ease, because I know what it was like when I was a kid, and I only took on people when they were quiet to volunteer. Like if they raised their hand, I let them, but when they were like the ones that were talking and stuff, I just called on them. Normally I wouldn't do that though, because like I know for like the quiet kids, if they don't want to participate, then they would just not, and that's fine. But if you're going to be noisy and like talk and go giggle while we're doing something, then I'm definitely going to call on you. So we did that, and then what else did I do? Oh, and then right afterwards, I told them what they were doing. So they had definitions to write down, or descriptions of different types of nonfiction text, and I said you can write down the descriptions, which I provided to them so they didn't have to research. So I knew what descriptions they were writing down, and then they had to go and find an example of each. And then for the other one, they had 2 that they had to write down for the descriptions. The other one technically was supposed to be like a textbook scavenger hunt, but we don't have textbooks. They don't get textbooks anymore, at least for this year, and I think last year too. So I was like, I can't really have you look in a textbook to find this. So we didn't do that, which is fine. But I just had them write the description. It took them almost until like 20 minutes before the bell rang, and at that point I was like, okay, just like work on something quietly. But when another one of the teachers walked in after I had finished my lesson, it was like so quiet, because I was like, this is individual, you're sitting at your own desks and you're doing this quietly. That's what we're doing. Like, we're not doing this as a group. No, you're individual. And I made it clear like multiple times, and they were like dead silent. Like you could hear a pin drop during that entire thing, which is really nice and cool for my first lesson that I had the kids be a pin drop. But they were absolutely wonderful, and I feel very proud of myself for how my first lesson went. I did say for next time, I want to remember, if I do teach this again, I want to remember to ask students what they think the different types of nonfiction works are, because I did say that in like my brain that I was going to talk to them about that, but because I was so nervous I forgot, which is fine, it's not that big of a deal. I want to maybe write on the board what the students are going to be working on when we're doing it independently, because a few of them were confused that they had to do 2 pages. So I want to maybe do that for the next time. And then for the independent research portion, it seemed to be like a struggle for some of them to find some of the different texts that worked with each type of nonfiction. So maybe having them be in partners or get a whole group discussion for examples of different forms of nonfiction texts that could help with improving some engagement as well from other kids. But for a first lesson, I think I did great. I am now editing the video before this one that you guys would have seen, or at least finishing uploading it to YouTube, and then I am going to work on next week's lesson plans. Next week I am teaching all of the literacy lessons Monday to Thursday, and then I also have a math lesson I need to work on and a science review activity that we're doing, because I'm taking up the review. I think my plan is I'm going to put like the questions on my iPad and like I'll handwrite the answers once the kids give them to me with the actual answer. And then I will also, I have a math lesson to work on, and then I think I said that already. My brain's all over the place. But I also have to work on a Kahoot for the science quiz review, because I'm doing science quiz review for all of the grade 8s next week, Monday and Tuesday, and then some kids have their quiz on Wednesday, some of them have on Thursday, like our homeroom kids have it Thursday. The other 2 classes that we teach are on Wednesday, but I'm doing their whole review on Monday and Tuesday, so I need to have that done, whereas my AT is going to do the grade 7s and I'm just doing the grade 8s to make it a little bit easier, because I don't know how to combine the 2 reviews because they're slightly different, especially for Kahoot. Like, going over it is fine, but I'm like, how would I do it for both? And we talked about it last week, but I'm going to type up at least the lesson plan for both of those, at least the Monday ones first, and then I'll do the Kahoot and everything and set everything up afterwards. But that is my plans for today. I also have to go and drop off blankets for Horsies, and I am hosting an author writing event, which I will end up just working on my lesson plans during the writing event, to be honest, because those are kind of priority than writing my project. But if you do want to join in for any of the ones, I will leave a link in the description for the Discord server that I host those in. And then we're also, which I haven't mentioned on my YouTube channel at all, but we are doing in that Discord server something called NaNoWriMo. It is the same exact thing as NaNoWriMo. The only difference is it's Fae. But instead of writing 50,000 words, we challenge you to just try to complete a goal that you have. So like mine is trying to finish draft 3 of The Summer I Met You, which is my hopefully debut novel one day. But I want to work on that for the whole month of November, at least try to get draft 3 done. I probably won't because of how busy classes are, but it's at least a goal to try to get done. But yeah, that is all of my updates now. I will talk to you guys later though.